Hey, what's going on, people? It's Kid Shorty Gaming Nation in the building. I'm going to review this show from This Might Be Risky. Titles are, let me go back to the title. As leaders is being used as a weapon. And this is part 2 of the show. I'm going to review part 1, but I want to review part 2, right? So that is a good question that DJ have asked. And I think it's a follow-up to a show that I reviewed that he did a show featuring AC Trill or the Crew Season. Shout out to them. And in the show, the Crew Season, AC Trill had a heated discussion or debate with I think Fatty, right here, Fatty the Untouchable, and a couple other brothers on the show. Now, as I put in my description, I agree with this, right? Because one of AC Trill's premises that, because the man is in a leadership position, the responsibility falls more on his shoulders. Even though he did say both should be held accountable, but the responsibility of society falls on the man's shoulders, right? And that's not something that's uniquely said by him. That is something that society has been, that the men of society have said before I ever heard of an AC Trill. I'm 32 years old, so I've been hearing that for the longest time. I've been hearing that since I've been hearing that that's the thing that's being said. I think since not since, like, that's a line that I've heard said that I think came from maybe the silent generation or the greatest generation, or maybe the Victorian age. And I think that the whole thing where, the man falls on the sword, self-sacrifices for his God and country, self-sacrifices for his women and children, sacrifice for himself, sacrifice for the other man next to him. I think that was during a time period where a man's sacrifice was respected and loved. In today's day and age, the man's sacrifice is not respected and loved by his community. Back in the Victorian age, that type of masculinity was respected and loved. You know what I'm saying? By his community, right? A man sacrificing and falling on the sword for his women and children can have a better life and a better generation. That during the Victorian age, the silent generation, the greatest generation. The reason why I don't say the boomer generation is because the boomer generation is what fucked us up. But that type of masculinity, right? It was loved and cherished during the Victorian age by the women, right? And we like to sit on YouTube and pretend like the Victorian age of women or the modern age of women is the same as the Victorian age of women, or the more traditional sense of the women that existed in the 1950s, or the silent generation or the greatest generation. No, it's completely different, right? Second, objectively speaking, you cannot hold the leaders responsible for every action that the followers take, because the followers, being the women, they're fully grown adults, autonomous human beings that move based upon their own free will. And as I say, a woman is going to respond to herself, or she's going to follow herself or follow and respond to herself before she responds to a man or the environment or her society. She's going to make up in her brain what she wants to do with herself first before she follows any man, right? And even if a man can influence a woman, even control that woman, but she has to be willing to follow that, right? And even that, when that situation goes wrong, even though you can hold the leadership accountable too, because I agree with holding men accountable, I'm not taking that any way. The follower still has to hold himself accountable for being a follower of following something that put that follower in a follower that's autonomous, that can control their own actions or her actions, she still has to hold herself accountable for playing a part or her role in following that man, just as that man has to play a part in in play a part in his part in leading that woman, right? She has to take accountability or for her actions and her part in following that man, because both people have free will, right? And I think what part of AC Trill's premise is that that man chose that chick, but a man cannot force his choice on a woman that did not choose him back. That's the thing. So even if a Pookie or a Ray Ray or dysfunctional Negro chose that chick or chose to be in a situation with that chick, she has to choose to be in a situation with that dysfunctional Negro, right? We cannot say we're in an egalitarian society, but don't put any responsibility on to put a big responsibility on the man and not put it on the woman as well. Even if women are not equal to men, the woman still has to take accountability for that her actions with that man, because she's an adult. She has her own free will, right? The law recognizes that. In society, we don't. And objectively speaking, if you look at every day in society, the women act up and misbehave. The men have very little power or say so or influence or even control on how to dish out consequences or punishment towards the women who act up and misbehave. Unless now you're a judge or you're a police officer or you're in some kind of mayor where you can pass laws. But that's the government. That's your police station. That's the law, right? In an individual day-to-day life as a regular man, you don't really have any way to dish out a consequence to a woman or any punishment to a woman that, disrespected you on the street, right? Even if you want to influence that chick to respecting you, hey, ma'am, I didn't appreciate you disrespecting me right there. If she continues to be disrespectful to you, the only option you got is to walk away. But she doesn't really learn a lesson right there. She can continue going on being disrespectful to any other guy, or based upon if she likes or finds that guy sexually attractive. That's one of those things that in society that the men accept. And the reason why the men accept it is because they get box and sex from that, right? But just because she might respect you or follow you because she likes you or finds you sexually attractive, that don't mean she gonna respect. She might don't mean she gonna respect you. See, that's surface level shit. A woman might find you sexually attractive for that moment, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, and a lot of that is based upon her feelings and her emotions. And a woman's emotions is everywhere. This day, up, down, left, right. It's kind of like putting the cheat code in Grand Theft Auto. You see what I'm saying? Left, right, A, B, C, D, up, down, left, and right. So the men accept that for the purpose of getting boxed. And that has caused more problems. Right? It's like saying that, men are naturally aggressive and men are naturally strong and violent. So you must accept that men are naturally strong and violent. And when they do violent things, aggressive things, we shouldn't punish that, or we should try to control that, or we shouldn't have consequences for they do that. No, that would be goofy. Yeah, man is natural, has a natural ability to be violent and aggressive and very all those things, right? But in a civilized society now, just because he's naturally that way doesn't mean we're not going to pass law or punishment towards the men when they become that, and when they're doing that and it becomes negative. So we don't accept men in nature whose natural ability is to go out there and be violent, right? We put things in place in society to give a consequence to the men that if he does become that. But when it comes to women and their behavior, it's just accepted. Oh, that's just women are. When she's being violent and aggressive to you in a relationship, no, that's just how women are. When she's disrespecting you just for approaching her and saying, hey, how you doing? Can I get your number? My name is so-and-so. And she records you on the camera and she says, this pervert or this pedo or this weirdo guy, even though you were not being a creep, you were being very respectful to her, and she chooses to respond to you with disrespect based upon if she likes you or dislikes you or not. That's not punished. It's accepted as, that's how women are. Right? And then that same chick gets approached by another dude who says, hey, yo, ma, we like to get some of them cheeks to like to smash. But because she liked that guy and she found that guy sexually attractive, she'll respect him more than the guy that was respectful in his approach, but she disrespected him. And that's the goofiness that the men accept in society. And they play it off, oh, that's just how women are. And then now, women are smart enough to know, okay, so since you men are going to accept that, we're just going to keep doing it. And then now, it's put back on the men and saying, well, the men allow it. Right? But then if the men pass law and come out and say, this is not wrong, this is wrong, women should not be able to do that, it's going to be saying that, okay, the men are complaining. Or, you're the leadership. You know what I'm saying? Anytime when it comes to the men putting their foot down and voicing their opinions of what should be corrected in the community, is read off as the men are complaining, or they're being sassy, or whatsoever. They're being too controlling. But when it comes time to blame the men about the actions of the women, it's the man's fault and not her fault for being a dominant individual. But when the men try to correct the women by going on YouTube, by voicing their opinions, by changing law, it's the men being toxic masculinity, controlling, or they're being sassy, or they whatever shaming tactic they want to use. If a man come out here and say, women, y'all need to put your clothes on and stop walking out the house and butt ass naked, it's you're insecure. But if you go to the woman and say, why are you walking outside the house naked? Well, because the men allowed it. So it's the man's fault why she's doing this. And you know what I'm saying? The women accept that because they can be goofy and not taking accountability for their actions. The men there's a segment of men in society accept that because they get pussy or they get vagina, a box, right? And it's all goofy, in my opinion. Right? I don't like that. I don't agree with that old school leadership shit right now. This woman is being an ineffective follower, and she's choosing to operate how she want to operate. But now you're going to blame me for why she's making that decision to operate how she operates. Right? And then now, if I go to check the chick, now you're telling me that that's being toxic masculinity. So you can't blame men, oh, you're the leadership, when it comes to blaming when it comes to this person's actions now. But then take away the things that I need to check that person and her actions. All right. So we're gonna go into this video right now. We're gonna play this.
Computer where she still has energy to do whatever she wants, and the guy is still carrying the burden. I think those are the best ones. When you go 100-0,
the kids to be able to express it. Like how they have a baby spirit, a baby energy. You can tell that they want you to change their diapers. So they get into the place where they're telling the kids to make their own choices, have their own identities, just so the mother can still look a certain type of way. So you don't judge the mother. Well, how about you? Well, my kids can do whatever they want to. But the man, when everything falls to pieces, it was the leader's fault. He enabled. He was in control.
I want to go to what Ali is saying.
And I mean major. Like, you didn't tell me you had $40,000 in student debt and they just garnered
the offer. But if you have a partner that can't acknowledge the intangible on man's side or doesn't,
let's go from the beginning. How they begin.
It is him. I know it's hard for a lot of people to swallow, but that's what it is.
What the fantastic say?
Rate is because we're attached to the least married women. So you can't say it's our problem. We want to be married more, so on and so forth. Black.
I spent that bread on that shit too.
Man, ask them for a refund, man. Tell them that
get a refund.
Trash. Yeah, tell them that shit trash, bro.
Man, hell make good money. He asked
when they ask you why, tell them this ain't shit, man. Watch my stream.
DVD.
none of that shit.
And
But
whenever you see,
go ahead.
so when you see people at the return counter in the department store, it's all women. Man, we don't return shit.
My wife be like, babe, I saved this much money. I said, nigga, you spent $1,000 yesterday on Pampers. Fuck you talking about? You saved me money. Save me no money, man. You got to buy 10 to get one free. That ain't a save.
That's not a sale.
That's not how that works, man. All right, we got 120. Okay, everybody trickling in. Y'all moving a little bit too slow for my liking, man. Shit, now I can see better. I've been fighting with that eCam shit too. I had all them things set up. You know what I'm saying? Easy Money Jones, you had put a super chat. I meant to read it. I didn't get the chance. Then I just close this shit out. Let me know what you said. I'll read it out loud, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel.
I want to skip this to go to where.
Yo,
I'm you know I'll be having a hard time with shit, man. Like, so let me ask you. Sharon was good. I'm gonna drop this link. Who? Hold on, cause it was 550 people in the other chat. I dropped it. We had 124. Everybody need to come back in, man. I gotta say goodbye to eCam, man. Damn, I'm tight about that shit.
You have got to fill out that feedback shit. If you don't, this shit will never get better. That's why we put it there.
It must be every time. That must be every time why eCam go live hours.
interracially, and it's not 50-50. And again,
the advocate and say it's 50-50, and I don't even do that shit.
It's not 50-50. So
it's not.
AC Trill say it's 50-50. I disagree with what he said.
It's not 50-50. And again, like you said, black men's success interracially and it's increasing proves that, right? So
well, Mr. Fantastic, we also, when we get with white women as an example, we also our household income is the lowest out of interracials.
Hold on, let me see something. It ain't no flipping 50-50. For AC Trill, I respect you, but nah, I gotta respectfully disagree with you. It was 100, right? The man 100% went outside, worked, bust his ass, did his husband duties at home, fix shit, built shit, and the woman did 100% by staying home, taking care of the kids, cooking and cleaning. So it was 100. It wasn't no 50-50. If you're doing 50%, that means both people are not operating at 100% or equally yoked. Right? Two people are half-assing it to make 100. All right. I get it that he says there might be ebb and flows where, one day Pops or Paw might have to take care, watch the kids, or give the kids a bath. Or one day, and Paw is sick, that the mother might have to mow the grass or cut the lawn or something. But after nobody was sick anymore, they were back to being healthy. It was back to being 100. It always went back to 100. It might lead up to maybe days where one person is doing 90 and the other person got to pick up a slack. But it averaged back out to 100 when everybody was when everybody was well again, or when nobody was sick. You know what I'm saying? Or the relationship for the majority of the part was 100. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how the old school niggas told me. Old school couples told me. I know I'm Caribbean, but I've heard relationship stories from Black Americans and Caribbean cats, and it's pretty much the same, right? And I think with Caribbean cats, right? I I say for Black culture, like for Caribbean Black culture and Black American culture, I think for the most part, two people were working. I know Caribbean culture, right, where you'll have sorry, you'll have my fault. Give me a second. You'll have you'll have mama or grandpa who got some kind of skill, because in Jamaica, when slavery ended, you had a lot of people that had skills. You had a lot of men, similar to the Black American space, where you had a lot of folks that had a lot of skills, a lot of trade skills that they can use. So you would have Black women that in Jamaica that maybe skilled with making, that box spring, the bed box spring. So you have a lot of Jamaican women that were skilled in that. And then you have a lot of Jamaican men that were skilled in carpentry. So, both of them will be making box springs, the other one will be making something in carpentry or what you call something, right? And then now, when it came to the home life, the husband still did the husband stuff, and the woman still did the cooking and the cleaning, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But that's still 100. That's still 100%. That's still two people operating at 100%. Even though both of them are working, and both of them are coming home, and they're kind of delegating the stuff, they're still doing 100%. Because it's two fully grown people contributing to the household 100%, or as the Bible called it, equally yoked. See what I'm saying? I think in Black culture, in Caribbean Black culture too, I think with us, I don't think we experienced that whole I don't think we experienced where the Black man, he was able to. Well, I think maybe we did. I don't know. I don't think we experienced it like how how white folks experienced it, right? I don't even think the majority of white folks experienced it. I think that whole the man works 100%, and the woman just sits at home and cocks up her foot and she don't do nothing. I think that's something that was relegated to like the white folks of higher society. I don't think that applies to lower class white folks or even working class white folks. And I don't think that applies to even and I know definitely for sure that didn't apply to Black folks, whether they be Caribbean Black or Black American. Right? So, but my thing is, it's still 100%. Y'all are shifting up the roles and the duties of what you're doing. Right? You're still going to work, and one day you might have to give the child back. The father might have to give the child back. Right? Or you go home, come to work, one day the father might have to cook. Or one day the father can't make it home because he got sick, so mom might have to go and mow the lawn maybe. But you're still doing 100%. You're just changing up the different roles. But if you want to talk about the typical ideal relationship, that traditional relationship now, right? If it's the man going out to work and the woman staying home and cooking and cleaning and still doing her duties, that's still 100%. The man is still going home, going out to work, cooking and cleaning, coming back, doing his husbandly duties, whether it be fixing the fence, mowing the grass, cutting the lawn, and fixing the plumbing, whatever he got to fix. But remember, Black folks, they were coming off of sharecropping and slavery. So a lot of them had a lot of those handy skills to bring back to the home, right? And the mother was in that house all one day teaching that child how to read and write. Because remember, a lot of Black women, they were mainly taking care of the children, breastfeeding, all that other stuff. So they had to be so they had to have some kind of education to be in the big house, right? So when it came to that, that's still 100% for the most part. Maybe there were times when mama was sick and papa had to do some of the work, had to teach the kid how to take the kid from school, had to change the diapers maybe when she was sick or she couldn't do it, and maybe when Papa was sick, Grandma or Big Mama had to do something. Because remember, Papa when he died, Big Mama took over, and Big Mama used the money that Papa saved up to take over the house. See what I'm saying? So, but anyway, let's continue. That's my take on the whole 100 versus 50.
Because Hispanics make less than us. That's what I'm saying. They can't be. So,
well, Mr. Fantastic, this is fantastic, man. What if I push back and like it can't with these divorce rates and us being lack of married? What if I would have played the advocate and say it's 50-50 and I don't even do that shit?
It's not. It's not. It's not 50-50. And again, like you said, black men's success interracially and it's increasing proves that, right? So
well, Mr. Fantastic, we also when we get with white women as an example, we also our household income is the lowest out of interracials.
Can't be.
No.
Because Hispanics make less than us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They don't.
Interracials.
Yeah, okay. So of all interracial relationships?
Yeah, so out of interracial couples, white women and black men make the least amount of money.
Let me think about that. Let me think about that. Well, if you think about it, white men make more money than black men. By I wish Hap would have gave out a number, because black men on average they make around 50K. White men on average they make around 71K or something like that. So if that white woman now is going to date a black man, right, and say she's working a job too, of course they're going to make less money because she's putting her money together with that black dude. Whatever money she's making, I think the average white woman makes around 40 something. Whatever money she's putting together with that white guy, with that black dude, of course it's going to average out to making less money than the white guy, right? If she's making the 40K and the white guy on average is making 70K, that's more money than the black guy who's making 51K and she getting with him and she's making her 40K. So of course they're going to make less money altogether than the white man. Then as interracial couples, then then they were to interracial out of the interracial couples. So that of course that would be right, because if the average income of black men are 51K and a Becky who's the average income making 40K and she gives with a black guy, that's what 90K. But now if the average white guy is making 70K and she's making 40K and she gets with the black guy she gets with the white guy that's making her 40K with the white guy, with her what she typically dates in her race with a white dude with her 70K. That's more than the 90K right there, right? So of course, on average, that's going to be making more money, right? Let's continue.
I'll look into that. Or just tell me the thing.
Yeah,
I got it. It's not making sense.
CDC.
It's not making sense, huh? Unless well, no. You know what? Again, it just means you're marrying more of the, I guess the least lesser earners. Black men are marrying high earning white women. So I got you. I feel you.
Yeah, that's right. The association.
Okay, cool. Fantastic said something similar. He said maybe black men are marrying the higher earner white women. Right? I wish he would substantiate his argument. I think he made a similar argument argument to what I made. He said that that black men are dating the higher earner white women. So he's saying that I said it for the type of man that the white woman is getting in a relationship. He's saying the type of woman that the black man is getting into a relationship. So averagely, right? The white woman makes more money than the black woman, right? So now if the black woman is making 30K and the black man is making an average of 50K, that's 80K right there. But now but that will still be higher than the black woman then. Because if the average Becky's making 40K and the average black man he's making 50K, that 40K plus 50K, that's 90K right there. So that's still on average higher than if you were to get into a relationship with a Becky, as opposed to them getting into a relationship with a black chick. And now some black chick is now probably going to listen to that and say, well, see, black men are getting into a relationship and they don't want to work with black women to help build generational wealth. Well, you guys don't want to do that. Ebony K. Williams influenced y'all, telling y'all don't want to date a bus driver, right? The average black woman don't want to date a bus driver who I think is making 30 to 45K a year. The average black woman making 36K, you don't want to get into a relationship with that guy because he dusty and he a bus driver. So you don't want to do that either, right? So for the black woman that's going to listen to this or come along and say, see, the black man is marrying outside her race because the Becky making more money than the black woman and they're going to build wealth on some Dr. Umar Johnson shit. Well, y'all don't want to date the average brother that's making 45K. That's a bus driver. You don't even want to date the blue collar nigga. That's a what you call truck driver or what you call them people again? The trade guys. The guys with trade skills like an HVAC. You don't even want to date them. Okay? But Mr. Fantastic says something similar to what I said. Let's go.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But this is the thing. This is the credit we don't get, right? So everything is looked at and focused on the black man, but none of the particulars and most importantly, the context, right? Again, the reason why we have the lowest marriage rate is because we're attached to the least married women. So you can't say it's our problem. We want to be married more, so on and so forth. Black women do not want to be married. They've said this. Black women see them having a baby and doing it through the government and all these other things is more viable than building a relationship and making it last and making it work with a black man. So that's what no one is willing to, that elephant that's in the room. It's not that black men can't get married or black women don't want to marry black men because they're not suitable leaders. They just don't want to get married. Or like you said, bro, listen, black women have the most kids by multiple men. 60% of these chicks, bro, and that's why I say, the numbers are right there for you. How can black men be the problem when these women keep having all these kids with these different dudes, these different niggas?
Let me show a clip that backs up Mr. Fantastic. No did. Let me show up because for those of you who've been watching Black Culture, you've been watching Maury, you've been watching Ricky Lake, you've been watching all these shows and shit. That has been the sentiment of black women. I don't need no man, and black men are this, and black men ain't this, and black men ain't shit, and black man this, black men are gay. When the gay black man is a low percentage of black, it's 1% of the black man population, right? But let me show you this. Black family, 1986. By the way, you think that the government is not, the government documented this. Let me show you. Not you did watching these shows.
Values.
Look at this is recorded in 1986. So they were watching us go down in 1986. So let's look at it.
25 years ago, you were startling.
Old enough for no sex, my man. If a girl, she get having a baby, carrying a baby.
But the commitments. I wouldn't want no man holding me down.
None of you are married. Raise your hand if you're married. Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. Most of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your to think about, and then a whole family to care for. It's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments. I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I
think I can take care as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. Father wasn't in the home, so it really male figures are not substantially important in the family.
See that? I'm gonna play something else.
Holding up fire.
Pause this real quick, right?
No sex, my man. You know, if a
watch
girl,
this.
you know,
This is important too.
having a baby, carrying a baby, that's on her. You know, I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condom?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. You gotta tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling.
Hey, that is how a lot of black women. When I'm born in '92, but I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. That's what I've heard a lot of black women say. A lot of black women that I used to date, they used to say that shit to me. But I was smart enough to know because I understand the idea of leadership, and I was aware of the games that has been played. I was smart enough or intelligent enough to avoid a lot of those situations, or just not deal with that person, or just stop messing with that person completely. But mind you, this dude is not the most black man. This dude is like represents the lower income, the project housing, and so this brother right here does not represent the majority of black men. This is low income housing, and I believe I showed a statistic that showed you
Change in values.
Right.
25 ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down. As children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy
that was in 1986.
Said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either.
Sir. See how they said that? Let me go to black statistics. Let's go to black demographic. Black marriage. No, that's not it. Let's go. Statistics. Up here, black men, 57% of black men are having 4 or more children. Right? Same thing goes for 3. Right? 54% of black men are childless. 81% of black men aged 40 to 49 have had a biological child in their lifetime. 46% of black men aged 15 to 49 have had a biological child. Right? 54% of black men don't have children. 70% have 1. 50% have 2. 7, right here, that's 4 or more. So that guy that was on there, he didn't. It's not the usual. right? I want to see when they took this. And this is a recent report to the data among Black men and women from recent 2023 report from the National Center of Health and Statistics using data collected between 2015 and 2019. All right. So Black demographics, they're taking the data from actual CDC stats and actual places in our government or in society, right? So it's not usual. But I want to go back to that video, and then I'm going to go back to I want y'all to hear what the white guy said. See, these women chose not to have a father in their household. Mr. White Man, let me talk to you. See, the welfare state was something that was given to the Black community by white liberals, right? By the white liberals, correct? And you said that Timothy left the responsibility of the child up to the welfare state, up to welfare, correct? Correct. Okay, cool. At the same time, the Black woman before Timothy came up chose not to be in a relationship with that father. They didn't want that in that household, right? So even if Timothy wanted to be a father in that household, they were not going to choose him to be a father, even though they lied down and got pregnant by him. As it was also stated in the house in that thing that 60% of those children were born out of wedlock from single mothers. So it was ran by a single mother household. So basically what they're saying is that the patriarchy or the Black nucleus family in the Black community was dissipating. Why is that? When you put welfare in the state and these women choose to get pregnant by Timothy right there, who himself is irresponsible. So I'm going to come out there and say, yo, Timothy was irresponsible. Those children are his responsibility. But now when you have Black women saying, I'm choosing not to have a father in that household, and at the same time, you're going to now rely on welfare in the government, you can't completely put that on Timothy. A, the women are making the choice not to be in a relationship with Timothy. B, the women are now picking men who are fathers. So the question has to be asked, or should have been asked to those Black women, why you get pregnant by dudes who don't want to be fathers? Or how did you get pregnant by men if you think you can do it by yourself? If you don't want the father in the household, how did you get pregnant? All this is an active choice. And as I just proved to you, Timothy is not the usual. Timothy might be the usual in low-income housing, because the game and the projects on the housing was that you had a lot of men, Black women, that in order to get project housing or free housing, in order to get welfare, they would have sex by niggas like Timothy. That was not the majority of Black men. But a Black man that was out there plentiful like a Uncle Phil or the Cosby, right? They couldn't get sperm from those guys so easy. They couldn't get sex from those guys so easy. Because those guys are actually looking for a relationship and for a woman that was going to respect them and be submissive. So what they would do, they would go to the Pookie and the Ray Ray. They would go to Timothy. So I'm saying? So, but this was going on in 1986 where Black women actually made a choice to do it without a father in the household. All right? So let's go back to DJ Ham. Yeah, that was what was said by Ebony K. Williams, right? Ebony K. Williams is not new. Ebony K. Williams' voice is something that black women have been saying since the 80s and the 90s. Well, I was born in the 90s, but I grew up watching black women listen to Ricky Lake, go on Oprah and say, there's not enough black men. You even hear today, there's not enough wealthy black men to get into relationships with because they're not making as much money as black women. And when you talk about black women making money, that's a low percentage of black women making six figures, right? But Ebony K. Williams' voice is something that has been said since the 80s and the 90s, right? Remember, Ebony K. Williams got up there and said she didn't want to date a bus driver. And black women's excuse is always that it's a money's problem. Black men are not making enough money when the average black woman make 36K and the average black man make 51K. That's always been the excuse. But Mexican couples, on the other hand, or Latin couples, Mexican men or Latin men make less money than black men. Yet Maria has no issue getting into a relationship with Hector or Jose. So I have time today, so I'm gonna go find Ebony K. Williams. And Ebony K. Williams was in a relationship with a white dude, and she failed that relationship with that white dude. Now she over there talking shit about me. Hold on. I want to speak on what Ebony K. Williams just said. Ebony K. Williams said they're not showing up even in the leadership. You have to ask black women, what do you mean by leadership? What are you talking about leadership? What do you mean leadership? What does that mean to you? What is a black man leading to you? And second, she tried to make it not be about black men, right? Because she said she dated all the spectrums. Well, it has to be about black men because white men on average make more money than black men. So do Asian men. So you dated Asian men? So have you dated Asian men? Because Asian men out-earn both black and white men in America. So for you to say that you're not talking about one Pacific race, that's cap. You are talking about a Pacific race. And what was the issue with the white man you were with? I'm pretty sure he was making income, right? So the excuse or the thing that make it sound like you're not talking about black men, that is complete cap. Let's continue. And Oliver asked if she would date a bus driver. There you go. Mind you, hold on. Ebony K. Williams has a right to date, a man that's making more money than her on the bus because Ebony K. Williams, she's a higher earning woman, black female or black woman. But the average black woman is not an Ebony K. Williams. The average black woman is either a 30K. The average black woman is making 30K flat. 30K, 30K, 36K. That's the average black woman's earning, right? So Ebony K. Williams is not the average black woman. She is in I think, maybe the 3% of black women that are making six figures or over six figures, right? So she can say she won't date a bus driver. She can say that. So black men, I have no issue with say that, but the average black chick cannot say that, right? Yo, I ain't gonna cap. When I used to be a security guard and I used to work out in Queensbridge, out there in Queensbridge, I used to work for Con Edison. I used to be a security guard for Con Edison. I used to work out there in Queensbridge. There was a Latin bus driver, and his girl, every morning, when I would see him, his girl would get him a cup of coffee. If she was not able to get on the same bus, when his bus would drive by the bus we were on, she would wave to the dude. So think about that. A black woman won't even get a bus driver. She's in a relationship. She won't even bring his lunch or figure out what stop he's getting off to bring him lunch. Call him up to see how he doing. You know what I'm saying? A black chick trying to get into a relationship with a bus driver, she won't even go do her homework to go figure out, okay, cool, what stop you getting off at? Okay, cool. When he get off at lunch, I'm gonna get him this food. Or when he get off work, I'm gonna take him out on a date for him to eat something at the end of every week. Hey, shout out to this Fumi Del Silvo. I think you probably Creole or something Haitian, but shout out to you. To shop. What? What now rounds did you talk about? What you talking about? What you talking about now rounds? Get that white hand. To you, baby girl. My bad. You older than me. Respect your elders. But my lady, I respect how you substantiate your argument, and I agree with that. But that's not how the majority of Black American women, or even Ebony K. Williams, substantiated their argument. Their argument was that they couldn't find a good black man or a suitable black man, or and there was a lot of negative connotations or undertones with it. See how you substantiated your argument. I can agree to that if you're not ready. You see what I'm saying? I think that this fertility discussion, it has been had by the men, and the men were saying it. It was just viewed by the feminists of the 80s and the 90s and even the early 2000s as the men being controlling and too toxic. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't applaud Ebony. And the reason why I don't applaud this Ebony K. Williams, and I respect what you have done yourself, but I applaud you either because now it influences to do something. It influences the board to do something else besides find a relationship with a man, and that sets it up to be a matriarchy, which that's not going to be good for society. You know what I'm saying? It's going to set it up to this is going to be disastrous. A woman at 49, as yourself, no disrespect to your age, and Ebony K. Williams at 40, right? You guys have the money to do so. Until you said you need the medical uh, things for that to happen, something medical for that to happen, right? That's not going to be the average thing, right? No, I respect y'all in your decision, but I don't applaud it. You know, because we don't know what the health implications to the children are going to be from now. As you guys get older, it's going to be more difficult for you to take care of that child, as opposed to if you were 20 years old and you were 25 years old, or you were even in your 30s. My mother had me in her, I think around her 30, I think around 30 years old, because I'm 32 and she's now 60 something, right? So, you know, at 40 and 49, that's going to be difficult. And the average chick is not capable of doing it. You know what I'm saying? See, and that's the issue I have, is that other women validate other women for doing nonsense. Now, again, with you, my lady, your substantiated argument, you saying you wasn't ready in your 20s to have a kid, and you was about your career and all that other stuff. I agree with that, but that's not Ebony K's argument. That's not how she substantiated her argument. Your argument wasn't, I couldn't find me a suitable black man, or I didn't want a relationship with a brother. Your argument was that you were not ready. Ebony K's argument was that she wouldn't even date the bus driver or give the bus driver a shot. You know what I'm saying? But back to I want to get back to DJ Hamp. Uh-huh. That's what I was saying, Ebony. That's what I said to the chick prior, if she ever watches it live. Fantastic is correct. Ebony K. Williams and the other lady, y'all are lucky. The majority, high mortality rates during pregnancy. So y'all are very lucky. And I saw you had that white man hand rubbing your belly. So, yep. Yep. The data shows it. Now, to Mr. Fantastic, right? To the topic of the show. Well, I wanted to speak to a talking point that we always echo to black men. We always tell black men, if you focus on yourself, you elevate yourself, you step your game up, you do everything you need to do as a man and for yourself. The women are going to change up and be a reflection of you. If black men are improving themselves and black women are still going a complete different way, how is that? How can that talking point be true then? This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm all for holding men accountable because at the end of the day, we are the leader of the head of the house. But at the same time, if you're telling men to be self-improvement and you're telling men that, if you improve this and you make your improvement about, and the woman will get in line, the woman will step their game up. If you improve because you're the head of the house and they're going to follow your lead and they're responding to you, why aren't the women responding by upgrading themselves? The women are further degrading and the men are improving. And then now, what we do in the black community or black culture, Dr. Umar Johnson, is we'll shame the brothers into dating women that are not qualified. And what's that going to do is that's going to reward black women who don't qualify with black masculine leadership. And it's going to keep creating a problem. Because that's the Angry Man likes to talk about molding. He says that men control, influence, and mold the environment. And Angry Man says that in the context of dating and mating in relationships, right? So if the men, black men, who are stepping their game up, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they decide to keep engaging in the environment or leading the environment that does not qualify for his leadership, that's going to mold the black culture society to say to the women that, yo, you could be a fuck up your whole life and still get you a quality man. That's what they believe already now. They believe that already. Right? This is why black women don't believe they could go do a hot girl summer whole phase and still get a good man. And the reason why a lot of certain niggas in the black community accept that is to get boxed. And then the men, along with the women, or the men will use a manipulation tactic and say you're insecure because you don't want to take a hoe. Nah, nigga, if you want to go do that, you do that. But don't tell me that I should marry a hoe because you don't want, because you want to. Say that's what you want to do. Don't push that on me. And if you have traditional men, black men doing that in society, all that's going to create is all that's going to mold and condition the women to say that, yo, you can get any type of guy you want, regardless of your behavior, regardless if you qualify or not. Right? That's like a job site telling you need 3 years of driving experience before we can train you to get your CDL license. And you not tell a job that they're insecure because they don't want to accept you. No, they don't want to accept you because you don't qualify. Some of you are going to say, well, no, that's a job and this is a relationship. Well, you got to qualify to get into a relationship. And by that logic, a black man doesn't need to qualify for a woman to follow him or for him to be a leadership then. A black man should be a bum, right? And still be able to get a woman because even though he doesn't have the proper driving experience to qualify to get a to get his CDL training, they're going to give it to him anyway, right? No, that's not how that works. So, but anyway, but my thing is always talking points that you've been telling the black men: step your game up, improve this, self-improve, and the woman will fall in line. Black woman has not been falling in line, and the reason why you haven't been falling in line is because we haven't been keeping it balanced. You haven't been telling the women, say, hey, yo, if the black men step in line and they get their shit together, you have to make sure your shit is together. But we don't tell black women that. We just speak to the men. And then now, if the men step up their game and they go back into the environment and say, but wait a minute, you telling me that, self-improve, and I've been improving, and look at how shit my environment is. We'll still blame the man for how the environment is after we told the man, well, if you step your game up, the environment will respond to you. But the environment hasn't been responding to black men. But we still blame the black men for what's going on with black women, but she's choosing not to respond to him. And then now, if the black men decide to, I'm going to go to another country, I'm going to go somewhere else to get better options of women, or go to another environment, we say he's not a real man. Who the fuck is these niggas that know what a real man is? No black culture should be able to tell another black man what real masculinity is, because none of you niggas fucking know. Most of y'all niggas been getting your masculinity based upon what the women say. Russell Wilson was a cornball, according to black women. And because black women said he was a cornball, you niggas said he was a cornball. All of a sudden now, he in a relationship with Sierra. The black women are now saying he the best thing ever. And now you niggas are saying he the best thing ever. Why is that? Let's talk about Russell Wilson. Let's go to Russell Wilson. Why I don't trust black men and their mask when they talk about what a real man is, and what a real man is. For the longest time, the black community said Russell Wilson is a cornball in the lane. Right? And black men said the same shit. If black men came up and said, if a black woman came up and said that Russell Wilson was a cornball in the lane, the niggas was going to say, yeah, he a cornball, he a lane, because the women say it. Now, all of a sudden, Russell Wilson, according to black women, is the best thing since sliced bread. I wonder why that is. Let me tell you why that is. Because Russell Wilson, how he got into that relationship with Sierra was that he simped. He was in her friend zone for, I think, 10 years. While Sierra was out there messing around, hopping from Dick, Harry, and John. Even became a baby mama while they were being friends in her friend zone. That's how he got into that relationship with Sierra. That's what makes him a simp. And that's why black women are putting him on a pedestal to say, this is the type of man that black men should be. Because they want most of you niggas to do that. To be in a bitch's friend zone, right? While she's messing around, sleeping around out there, being a hoe, because Sierra was being a hoe. That's what she was being. And so that you could be the cleanup nigga and come after that. That's why they're propping up Russell Wilson. But before that time, Russell Wilson was not the type of, was a whole sucker. Now he's the alpha that y'all should be following, according to what black women are saying. That's why I don't trust niggas on what they talk about what a real man is. So black man in general, y'all can't tell me what a real man is. Because if black women say Russell Wilson is a cornball, y'all gonna follow. And then if they decide he's no longer a cornball, then if they say that Russell Wilson is the best nigga ever, then y'all gonna say he's the best nigga ever. If black women come out and say, yo, Passport Bros, these are the best shit ever, then y'all niggas gonna say that these are the best shit ever. Ridiculous. When you put in black men compared to other black, that's an unfair thing to say, right? Because black men in America has had to deal with, if you go back to the 80s, Jim Crow and sharecropping, black men have only been free for about really 100 years. Remember, black men got free during sharecropping, which was like 1920s and 1900s, early 1900s. Then you had Jim Crow. Then you had the 1980s. Then you had Joe Biden's what you call crime bill. Before that, you had Bill Clinton's NAFTA agreement. So there were a lot of things that were being passed to prevent black men from actually being patriarchal in his household, right? Black Wall Street got bombed. And you have many other black towns that similar thing happened. Go back how black men were treated during the 1920s in Harlem, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's an unfair thing to say to black men, because black men have been the biggest victims in America. And there were things set in place to prevent black men from doing what he needs to do. And you look at redlining and all that other stuff. He needs to do to actually get power in his house. So that's an unfair thing to say. You know what I'm saying? And black women know this. Black women know that because they say it. Anytime when black men are dating outside their race, especially if it's a Becky, black women say, "How could you date a white woman that has been helping to oppress you and dominate you no, not dominate, but oppress you and enslave you?" So black women know the situations that black men have had to deal with. You hear them say that about when they want to talk about how they march for black men during these Black Lives Matter rally. So black women know full well and why black men are not able or were not able to achieve, or why our stats look a certain way, right? In 2024, this is the first time where black men are actually able to be free and engage in capitalism without the extreme racism that took place during the 80s, during the 90s, during the 60s, during Jim Crow, during sharecropping and slavery. So you can't take black men and put them way beyond the deep end. And then, every time black men try to set up something in America, try to build up their own town, try to build up this and that for themselves, then the U.S. government comes in, destroys it or takes it over, and then now say, why black men are failing. You know what I'm saying? Something in the environment is fucking with it. You know what I'm saying? So. So that's the thing. Mexican couples, Mexican men, they make less money than black men. Yet Maria's able to get into a relationship with Hector. Asian couples, they make more money than black men, but they're both white and black men, right? Yet Sulin Becky is able to get with Chong Li or Chongy Chong. And both of them be working. You see Asian wife be working and Asian hubby be working and making that money and come home and do traditional shit, sit around the table and eat food. Why is the black woman not able to do that with her man? Since you even see that amongst white couples. So black women can take the things of other men and compare them to black men and say black men are not effective, but they can't take the positive things from the women that they're doing with their men and apply it to themselves. Why are not black women learning from Asian couples or the Asian woman or the Mexican woman and say, okay, these women right here are good women to their husbands, even though they're working and he's working. Why they cannot take that and apply that to themselves to be better, effective women to their husband. But they could take the they could take the they could take what other men are doing and say that, yo, men, y'all are not comparable to white men or the other men of society. And because of this, y'all are doing bad. So they could compare our house to their house, to a man's house to other people's house, right? They say that black men compared to other men, we're trash. But black women, you want to take the positive things from other women and say, well, maybe we should step our game up and take this from Maria, and take this from Becky Lou and Sue, or take this from Becky, regular Becky, and say, we're going to apply this here. Yeah, will not do that. Because black men can, because every time black men compare black women to any other woman, it becomes a problem. Dr. Umar Johnson come up there and speak and blah, 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 blah. You hate your mama this and you hate your mama that. But it seemed that black women love to compare us to other men. And we don't tell black women, oh, you hate your daddy. We don't tell black women, well, I mean, your black man has had to deal with white supremacy for 400 fucking years. This is insane. But anyway. That's a fact. I think I just said something to that, Mr. Fantastic. I think black men should do that to be the best leaders possibly can be, but for himself first. I think this issue of and shout out to the Dane coaches with the game niggas, because at least with them, they'll say that the game is about the guy. In other words, that you should be doing things because it benefits your masculinity first before you benefit anybody else. And I think with black men, well, how it should be said is that the game is about the man first. And I'll go into that a bit later, deeper into that a bit later. But for black men especially, we have to learn to be the best leader we could possibly be for ourselves first. What we want to do with our lives, how we want to lead our lives, how we want to structure ourselves, how we want to structure amongst each other, how do we want to structure in society, how we want to operate. You know what I'm saying? How we want to be productive for ourselves before we can say we're productive for a community or productive for a society. As the saying says, you feed a man the fish, he'll eat. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat the first. But how does it go? When you feed a man a fish, he'll eat, but he'll be hungry again. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll feed himself for a lifetime. Right? And then now, when you teach that man how to fish and then feed himself for that lifetime, he's going to teach other people how to fish. He's going to teach his women how to fish. He's going to pass that knowledge down, which is what patriarchy is. He's going to pass that wisdom, knowledge, and game down to his community. Right? Which is what I think that quote means when it says that when you teach a man, you teach an individual, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. Right? Because when you teach that man something first, he's going to teach his nation. He's going to make sure his nation eat. He's going to make sure he break bread or break game with his nation. When you teach a man first, nigga, he'll build a whole empire. And he'll raise that nation up into an empire. Like you teach a man how to build a house, he'll raise that, he'll mold that nation into like I said, an empire. Right? Now let me go into what they're saying. When it says, when the game niggas like to say, the game is not about the women, the game is about yourself. No. Because to say that the game is not about the woman, that's to be a delusion. You're in a hubris situation. Why I'm saying that is because every day you interact with women. And what game is the life experience, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the knowledge, wisdom, and information, and how you take that information and how you apply it to help you win things out the game. So that's what game is. So game is driving your car to the gas station to pump your gas, and you have to know the exact change to put into the gas to put into the gas station to pump gas in your car. Game is applying for a job application, and you know that you have, when they call you in to come for that job interview, you have to dress correctly, you have to bring your resume. That's game. Now, when you're approaching a woman, you have to have game on how to do that. When you're interacting with women every day, you have to have game with that. When you're raising children and you're raising a daughter, you have to have game on how to raise your daughter, how to raise your children. So to say that the game is not about the woman, it's about you, that's a delusion. Because whether you like it or not, you're going to always be engaging with women. It's unavoidable. You cannot avoid the fact that you're going to be dealing with women 24/7. What the saying should be is that the game is first about the man, right? The game is about the man first before it's about the woman. We're speaking it from a man's point of view. We're speaking it from yourself as a man's point of view. The game is about the man first. Everything else becomes secondary. Why is it the game is about the man first? Because as a man, you got to make a decision about yourself and how you want to respond to your environment or how you want to lead. Because when you lead, you can lead by responding to things. If somebody come over here to punch me in my face, I can lead by responding to defend myself, right? So as a man, you have to, the game is about yourself first before anybody else. Because you have to think in yourself and you have to gather that information and you have to figure out how you're going to respond, how you're going to lead, and you have to go into yourself as a man and think about, whether you want to believe in any type of religion. As a man, you got to think to yourself, should I be a Christian or Muslim? When you want to go to the dealership and buy a car, right? You have to think about what type of car do I want. You have to then think for yourself about, can I afford that car? And what do I need to do to get that car? Right? So the game is going to be about the man first before it's about anybody else. Right? Because as the head of your household, you have to lead your community, you have to lead your society. But the game has to be about how you want to lead your community first. And then you lead your community. Right? So how it should go is the game is about the man first. Because if women respond to men by default, you cannot say that the game is not about the woman. It is about them because they're following you by default, and you cannot avoid women. They're going to be there. You're going to produce women. When you have sex with a woman and you plant your seed into a womb, there's a chance that could be a female child or a girl child, and you have to be responsible for raising that child. So the game is always about it's about the man first, right? So that's my take on that. Though. That is true. That's the thing. And how I spoke to that earlier, right? You like to say in the black community, or when it comes to women, right? They love to say that a woman's gonna follow the guy she likes or she's sexually attracted to. That's subjective because there's no measurement on sexual attraction. And I don't think there's any measurement on like. I think those are things that naturally happen, right? And when you leave that up to subjective, she's only going to respect the men subjectively. She's not going to respect the men in general. And when I say respect the men in general, um, when you're teaching the woman to respect the men in general, right? Regardless if she likes him or not or finds him sexually attractive, she's going to conduct herself properly. Now, when you're telling the women, or you're allowing the women, or you're accepting that the women are only going to respect the men that she likes or she finds attractive, they're only going to respect black men subjectively, right? And what is she sexually attracted to? Is she sexually attracted to a bum, or is she sexually attracted to an actual good dude, a solid guy? Does that mean that is she sexually attracted to a bum subjectively, right? Or you're basing her respect for men subjectively, or basically you're judging her respect for a man based upon what she likes or what she finds sexually attractive. That means that that means she's gonna respect a bum if she's sexually attracted to that bum, or she likes the bum. She's not gonna find the solid dude. She's not gonna respect the solid dude. And again, niggas in the black community that are players of max, they use that to get sex. That's why they use that, right? And that becomes a problem because women can, like I said earlier, women can be sexually attracted to you and like you today, and then by tomorrow they don't like you or they don't find you sexually attractive. So does that mean that they're going to disrespect you now that they no longer like you or find you sexually attractive? No. So in general, so it has to be in general, and it has to be taught. Since men control the environment, like Angry Man say, since men control the environment and men influence and mold the environment and um, right. Since men control and influence and mold the environment, what needs to be taught is that to the women is that regardless if you like or find a man sexually attractive, you still gotta respect your men in general. Meaning that you're not to put your hands on a man. You're not to if a man is being respectful to you, you don't put your hands on that guy. You don't disrespect that guy. You know what I'm saying? You don't call that man outside his name just because you're no longer in a relationship, or you fall out of love or like with him in a relationship, right? Not this thing where men just accept women for who they are. That's bullshit. No, you teach these women how to be better. If you can influence these women, you don't influence these women to stay stagnant or be as goofy. You influence them to be better than who they are, and not to accept that shit just because women only gonna follow the guy they find sexually attractive or they like, or they're gonna respect it. No, right? Just because of in the beginning a child doesn't know how to read, don't mean you accept that. No, you teach that child how to read. You give them the proper instructions and knowledge, so they can conduct themselves better in society. All right. Same thing for the women. Stop accepting women and their bullshit. Teach them to be better. Influence them to be better. And if they don't want to follow your teaching or follow your influence, dismiss that chick. And she's not a good woman according to the in general objective and what in general objectivity of what the men say, black men and black culture say in black society. Let's continue. Yep. That is true. When black women say 50%, they talking about paying like 2-3%. So black women's side of their 50-50 argument, they're not actually doing 50%. They're actually doing like it's actually the man doing 50% and her doing 5%. So it's 55%. It's 50% on the man's side and 5 or 2% on the woman's side. So that is true with Fantastic is saying. I agree. And for men, I don't think we can avoid that. So you can't avoid that because if she's gonna do the full 50%, you still gotta at least do 70%. So the line, so that you cannot avoid that. You cannot avoid that. No matter how you want to go around, jump up and down, skip around, and go around and come around it, you're not going to outmaneuver that. That's not avoidable. So. With the black community, it is. So let me say that in black culture, if you plan on being a black woman, that it is what it is, right? And you have to adapt to your environment and you know do what you need to do in your environment and adapt to that. Now, if you want to create another generation of children that don't tie their masculinity or who they are into their money or to their pockets, cool. But for right now, that's what needs to be done, right? Those are the things that need to be done in order for us to create a generational wealth, in order of us to get our women to, you know, um, get into a relationship with us. And two, I don't agree with black men being broke, period. I think black men should step up their average income from 51 to 80K or 100K, in my opinion. And I know black men can do it. We can do it, right? So, no, you have to adapt to your environment and do the things that's needed to be done. So, you know, we can bypass and, you know, actually improve and step our game up and be better than the competition. You know what I'm saying? So, which is funny is that because the new age feminism, y'all push for equality, but it doesn't make sense in this environment we're in. Is that women will claim equality, but if she's making just as much money as you, she gonna see you as equal, or she's paying as much for the bills as much as you. She's gonna see you. She's gonna see you. She's not gonna see you as equal, or according to what Mr. Fantastic is saying. You know what I'm saying? Now this is what one of those. This is what the time where that saying is: don't watch what women say, watch what they do, because that's where this counts. Because women been preaching this whole equality shit for forever now in a day. Equality this, equality that, equality this, equality that. But when it comes to making the same amount of money, you don't see us as equal. See what I'm saying? Yeah, for her. I think um, that's something you cannot avoid either. I think women are going to look at men in general based upon how you're going to benefit them. That's something you cannot avoid. I mean, I did say earlier that you could teach them differently, but there are things in nature that you just cannot you just cannot erase. So I think because lions do that, female lions, they look for the strongest male lion, and they look for how well that lion can do something for those female lions. You know what I'm saying? So, that 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 really is that really is something to look at, right? Because I think those are one of the natural things that we cannot avoid. That a woman is always going to look to a man on what it can benefit her. Maybe part of society, because remember in society it defines money, men based upon money, right? And what's money? Money is a way to protect, provide, and produce. You can use money to do that stuff. So if women are looking for men for protection and provision in this society, you know, that's probably what she's looking how that man could benefit her from. So I don't think that's something we can avoid, though. Maybe men should start moving like that. Like if this woman cannot provide me what I need from her, which by definition, or yeah, by definition, that is what leadership is. If this woman cannot provide me with something, or provide me with something, the thing I'm looking for, I'm going to move on from her and go find something else, or find a woman that can. Maybe that's how men should be. Maybe it's not broken, but maybe men need to learn how to operate like that. That's how the greatest generation and the silent generation operated, and the Victorian age of men operated. If this woman didn't cook or clean, or she didn't, she couldn't benefit from me, then, you know, I'm not going to get into a relationship with this person, or I'm not going to marry this person, or I'm going to find me somebody new. Right? Maybe that's how. It's like that in dating. If you're dating a chick and she doesn't meet your standard, you're going to stop dating her, or find another chick, or play the numbers game. So, maybe that's how men need to operate, or go back to operating like that. You know why I think women say they want a man to be emotional this and emotional that. You can't, as he said, emotion it changes all the time. I don't think you can touch emotions like that. I think emotions is just like love. It's like it just happens, or something like you can't. Emotion is not tangible. I mean, well. Let me go back up. It's an action. You know what I'm saying? It's an action, and it changes and it rearranges. So to say that you want a man more emotionally attached to her emotions, or in tune with her, that's not a very stable man, because you're going to be moving according to her emotions, and her emotions are already unstable. So I think that's why women say that. I don't think Fatty should be speaking on something he ain't even married though. There it is. Bad move. Yep. That's a shit. Shit. That's something to think about. That is something to definitely sit in your pipe and smoke it because, or maybe that's how the men. Damn, you might have a point. Like most of the men I see in my lifetime, I'm not going to include myself because I never did that. Like, and maybe I haven't been in a relationship long enough for the female to do so, but that's what I've seen. I have a brother, he's a street nigga, hardcore to the bone. But I've seen him do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy. Now the question is the woman acquiescing something to what the men are saying? Or is that leadership? Because now if say you're the boss at your job and your employee, they're being a good person, they show up every day, they are earning their time there, they're being respectful to you, and they say, I would appreciate it if I get some vacation time, or I need some new gear, or I need some new outfit, or I need some new uniform, and you provide them that uniform. Is that you acquiescing, or is that you providing them something because they earned it through their actions? That's the question that should be asked. Hmm. Let's go back to what Cheeky said. Let's just like what he said. Hmm. That, my friend, is not leadership. That is something different. Because as a king of a castle or the general of an army, that army is servicing you, or being of service to your command and your leadership. As a general, you're being of service to your nation by protecting your nation, by protecting your country, and avenging your country if need be. Or a king, you're ruling your castle, and you're being of service to your environment or an agenda that you have, and those people that are part of your castle or your hold, they're being of service to you, right? And when I say the king, you're providing law, structure, government, you're providing protection, food, you're providing fertile land to grow crops. And, by you providing the people structure, the people are providing you, say you provide the people fertile land. Those people are now going to provide you with bread or wheat or vegetables or vegetables, crops, watermelon, etc. If you provide the civilians tools to go hunt poultry, right? Those citizens, they're going to become hunters, go hunt the poultry, and then provide the king meat, right? So that's what leadership has been. It's always has been that the king, he's the ruler, or he's the head of that line of that society. right? The general, he's the head of that army. The general, he serves the king. The army serves that general's command, right? So you're always being of service to something higher than you. But as Cheeky just described, that's not really leadership. That's being a slave. That, you have to serve this person in a relationship, self-sacrifice for this person in a relationship. And the only thing you can do is then leave that relationship and then take all the blame for why that went wrong. But you cannot tell that person what to do. You cannot even tell that person that person needs to leave. But they can tell you need to leave. You know what I'm saying? That what Cheeky described, that's not leadership. That's a slave. Because leadership, like I said, the king, he's the king of the castle. He's the king of the environment. A lion, he's king of that savannah. He's king of his territory. And he provides that territory protection. He safeguards that protection. The lioness, they provide him food and children and a bloodline. The king, he's the king or ruler of that hold or that lion. He's the lord of that lion. And it was passed down to him by his father. And he's making sure that land is law, it's an order, right? And the people be of service to that Lord. And to that Lord's rule and reign. And that Lord has power in his house. That Lord has power to bring down judgment if you break a rule. When the damu or the shogun touches down, when he says some shit shake, right? When you disobey the shogun, you don't tell the shogun to leave his castle. No, you leave the shogun's castle, and he'll deem you as a ronin. He'll strip you of your rank and your title, and he'll deem you as a ronin. You don't get to strip him of rank and title. You don't get to kick him out of his land or his lord. You don't get to kick a king out the castle. The king kicks you out the castle. Or if you don't like how the king is operating this castle, you leave that castle. You don't tell him, the king don't leave his castle. You know what I'm saying? That's what leadership is, or how it's been. What leadership has become, as Cheeky described, is slavery. A slave. Or as Angerman would call it, a beast of burden. So that's a very good observation from Cheeky. And it speaks to the the title of the show. Has leadership, men are leaders, is it being used as a weapon? And I don't think that the word leader has been used as a weapon. The changing of that definition is being used up. How it's being defined today is being used as a weapon. Because how it was defined before, if you go look at King Leonidas, if you go look at the Persian king, if you go look at the Greeks king, African kings, Mansa Musa, they had power over their environment. They had control over their environment. They had influence over their environment. And anybody that didn't fall in line with that leadership of that king or that influence, you got removed. There was a time in history or biblical times that if you stole from the king, they cut off your hand. We look at a pharaoh. We look at Shaka Zulu and shit. You know what I'm saying? So man. God. That's a good observation from Cheeky. That's what I just spoke to that. A king or a lord or a shogun, because he has power in his land, he doesn't leave his castle. He doesn't leave his hold. He doesn't leave with the land he's in charge of. No, your ass got to leave. You disobeyed me. He's absolutely correct. And I have been saying that. I have been saying, you leaving a woman, if a woman disrespects you and she don't respect you, you just walk away from that chick. What the fuck is that going to do? What does that do? That doesn't mean you have power. That's not going to teach her anything. It sounds good on the surface, right? And when you leave a disrespectful chick because of her being disrespectful, no doubt, that saves you time and energy. That saves you, but that's when you're in the dating stage. See, a lot of shit on this internet, this surface level. It's like, if she disrespects you on a date, you can easily walk away from that person because you're just dating. You're not obligated to her. She's not obligated to you. If your girlfriend and boyfriend, and she cheats on you, you can leave that situation because she's girlfriend and boyfriend. She ain't your wife. You're not a husband. You're not obligated to her on that level. Girlfriend and boyfriend stage is just a trial and error period now. Let's get serious and see how we really are. But now when you're in a marriage now, right? When you're now in a marriage now, you're not obligated to each other. You took vows. So what happens when she becomes disrespectful to you then? You see what I'm saying? So, right? And if you're truly the head of your house or the leader of your house, and she's acting up, you could tell her to leave. And you could dictate if she gets half of your money. You could dictate if she gets visitation rights. But no, that's not what happens in a marriage. If she cheats or she be disobedient or she decides to leave, the government or something else dictates that for you. And then you take all the blame because of her disobedience. Right? A damu or shogun, you don't blame the damu or the shogun for why you disrespected or disobeyed a rule in his land. A king of the castle, you don't blame the king on why you broke a law in his castle or his kingdom. And say, well, he chose to put me here. No, that's not how that works. You break a law or any kind of thing in that king's in the castle, you're gonna get punished. Because what? I told you the rules. You knew the laws and the rules and the bylaws before you got here. And I told you what you were supposed to do. And you chose to still follow it, knowing you wasn't going to follow my instructions. But on this YouTube and on this internet, everybody would have the surface argument. Oh, you chose that woman. Which I can agree to some extent, because that's mathematics, right? 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4, right? But can that same equation work with 2 × 2? No, it can't. 2 × 2 is going to equal to something else. 2 + 2 is 4. 2 × 2 is what? Right? So one equation or one operation, it might work in a 2 + 2 situation, but in another situation, that 2 + 2 might not work. See what I'm saying? Example: 2 + 1 is what? 3. But 2 × 1 is what? 2. 2 + 2 may be 4. Hold on. Give me a second. Sorry. 2 plus 3 may be 5, but 2 times 3 is 6. Different operations. Even though plus operation is mean to add it on to something, times operation is to add on to something. Both the multiplication is to add on and the addition is to add on to something. But 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. But the multiplication is to add on to something. The addition is to add on to something. Right? So, if you have a man and a woman, the woman is disrespectful to that man as far as the dating is concerned. That's one operation. So, in the dating operation, when a man disrespects a woman, he can say, you know what, I'm going to leave this situation. You're not respecting me, I'm gone. So that in the subtraction operation, according to the dating, right? The woman disrespects the man leaves. Right? But now, when you take that operation, you take that context and you switch it to marriage. Right? Now that the woman submitted to that man in a marriage, you submitted to your husband. Your husband is supposed to be your king, your leader, your head of the household. And you disrespect your husband. That's no longer a subtraction. That's now a division. In a date, I can leave that woman because she's not obligated to my leadership. I'm not obligated to her. But in a marriage now, that's more a division, a different operation now. There's obligations there. And I'm supposed to be her husband. And she chose to follow my leadership. And when she chose to disrespect my leadership, I'm not the one supposed to be leaving. I'm the king of my castle or the head of my house. She's supposed to leave. And I get to determine whether or not she gets anything from the relationship or not. So when a woman disrespects you during a date, that's a different operation than if she disrespects you in a marriage. Because during a marriage, there's a higher obligation in there. During a date, ain't nobody obligated to nobody. I don't know if that analogy makes any sense. Let's continue. Exactly. If you choose not to have sex with your woman into a relationship now, right? You can't say I ain't gonna pay the bills. How the men are trained in society is, you got to still be consistent, even though she's breaking her vows, even though she's breaking those rules, right? Men are trying to keep dealing with that type of chick. With a chick like that, even though she's not respecting you by giving you sex, or she's cursing you out, or she's cheating, right? And on top of that, when she's choosing not to cheat, when she's choosing to cheat on you or not give you any sex, there's no real consequences. You can't say, I'm going to stop paying the bills. You can't even kick her out. Niggas on here going to say it's your fault because you chose wrong. Hold on, give me 1 second. Right? So, that's a good point, mate, brother, about that. Right? There's literally, and that's where the disagreement with AC Trill is. It's because with AC Trill, right, and I respect that brother, he only talks about the leaving of the relationship part, and he only talks about the what you call the Leaving of the relationship part, and he only talks about how the responsibility of the relationship part. He don't talk about, okay, what do I do in this situation when this woman is acting up but she chooses not to give any sex? It's always, maybe I need to do more of this. Maybe I need to upgrade this, step my game up this, step my game up here. Right? That's what it's talked about. It's always put more on the man. It's not talked about, okay, what's the consequence if she disrespect me and I'm already stepping up again? The only consequence that, and then AC Trill said himself that the only thing he can do is take blame for that and leave. Why should I take blame for that and leave when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and she not? See what I'm saying? So I think that's where the issue got with the argument between Fatty and AC Trill why they got into it. Because AC Trill, he's making the leadership sound as if it's a slave thing. And it's more on the man's fault because he picked that chick or he not doing something. And it goes right back to this show. Is leadership weaponized against the man? And I agree to that. Because as Chiki just pointed out, there's really no real course besides to leave that relationship. And if you're the head of that relationship and you're the king, she should be leaving. And she should be getting punishment for disobeying your rules. Damn. Yep. Do you know what? Let's do with that. Leadership in the black community is when shit is going left, then it's his fault. You ever notice that? But when it comes to black women following a black man's instruction, they don't want to respect his leadership. It's not. They don't want to respect his leadership, or they don't want to follow his leadership. When it comes to black women following his direction, it's always excuses on why she can't follow. But when it comes to shit going left, then they'll say it's his fault. See what I'm saying? So that's insane. And the fact that we're allowing women to define what leadership is. That's what y'all dudes is doing. That's why I said I can't trust black men. I'm not talking about any of the men on these men on the panel. I'm talking about the gender. That's why I can't really look to black men for what a leadership is, because they can't even define that. They let their women define that and accept what their women define. Or if they're going to define leadership, it's always subjective. It's not in general. And if you tell them this is in general how we need to operate, how we move, niggas is not going to follow that. Niggas is not going to want to follow that. Example, if niggas want to be traditional, niggas who want to be players and max and pimps are being non-monogamous and open relationships now, they're going to be in disagreement with that and say y'all are insecure and why y'all paying attention to us and blah, 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 blah. So, you know what I'm saying? That's why there's really no black brotherhood in the black community, in my opinion. Yeah, when it comes to following the direction of the men in the black culture, they can't follow. When it comes to putting everything on the man, it's always the man's fault. That's the only time they want to report to leadership. That's nonsense. In order for you to say it's my fault, you have to be following my lead 100%. But the women are not following the men's lead 100%. They're half and half. And I think what's being challenged, and I think I said earlier, and it says men are the leaders, is being used as a weapon. I think they're challenging what leader is today. And I think what has been allowed is the women being able to say what a leadership is. All right. It's how it's being defined today. That's the issue. How it's being defined today was not how it used to be defined, as I explained. Right? So it's a ridiculous thing. Well, let's go. Oh, hold on. That's another thing that we've done. Is a mistake we've made, or the women have made. Right? My fault. That's the other thing, right? He said something important. He said, let me go back to what he said. I forget. Shit. Right there. There was a time, even when I was growing up, and I'm 32. When I was growing up, I always used to hear is that you either lead, follow, or get the fuck out the way. It was never about if you agreed with that leadership or not. It's either you're gonna follow this leadership or you get the fuck out the way. And as I said earlier, it goes now where the women are only gonna follow the guys that they find sexually attracted to. Right? That's how it goes nowadays. Before it wasn't like that. It was either you're gonna follow this person's lead, whether you like it or not. Or you agree to it or not. And if you disagree with it or not, get out the way. So that's a good observation from Cheeky. Right? Like a clear example today, right? A lot of people don't like how Joe Biden is running the country. A lot of people disagree with him. And I've been disagreeing with it. But the people who disagree with him had no other choice but to follow his leadership. Now, what we could do now is vote him out. But for the duration of him being in office or him being in power, we had no choice but to disagree with him. We had no choice but to follow him, whether we disagree with him or not. But some people took a route to say, you know what, I'm going to take my passport and go somewhere else, rather than sit there and complain about what they disagree with it. So they did the thing of where lead follower get the fuck out the way. Some people chose to get the fuck out the way. Some people, or the majority of Americans, choose to follow, even though they disagree with it. But what they're going to do is now they're going to vote him out of office. So that's an example, right there. Right? Or you can impeach the person. Right? So that's a good observation from Cheeky. Leadership is only followed if you agree to it today. If you're agreeable to it or not today. Yeah. God. Yeah. Yep. Now, I agree with that talking point, but the way women say it, it's not. It's weaponized. It's a negative connotation to it. It's not a positive connotation to it. Because I agree with that. I don't want a woman to want to need to be here. I want her to want to be here of her own free will. Because if she needs to be here now, she's dependent upon me. Whereas opposed where she wants to be here now is by her own free will, right? But when women say it, it's a negative connotation to it. It's used as a weapon. You know what I'm saying? Instead of it coming from a genuine, honest, which is coming from a genuine, honest place, but it's weaponized. It's used like a negative as a way to hurt men or to hurt a man. %70% in Portugal? Who's leaving who? Damn, hold on. He said something. He said that the divorce rate in Portugal is 70%. Damn. I wonder if I was on the show, I would ask him who's leaving who. Is it the women divorcing? Well, it's probably the woman divorcing the man. So is it the men over there for too while the women are leaving? choosing guys who end up leaving in the end too? Because that's a similar stat to there's a stat out there that's saying that lesbian couples, the divorce rate is the same with the lesbian community. That women are divorcing the lesbian at a 70% number. How is that a consistent? That's the same number in America, in Portugal, in heterosexual relationships, right? 70% divorce rate in America, 70% divorce rate in Portugal. How is that the same consistent number? And the common denominator is the women leaving. The women leaving in a lesbian relationship that they say is better than the men. But y'all can't even get along with each other. Insane. Hold on, Trigger Mike. If it's going that way in Africa, it's over there too? Damn. All right, keep lying and say it's always the man's fault. Keep lying. Y'all keep fucking lying. So Africans, y'all can't talk no shit if y'all divorce rate is over there too. When you talk about American culture, we can talk about African culture. Because Ali's premise was that don't be talking about your culture and him culture and that culture. So y'all divorcing over there too. So it's hurtful for a man to go to African culture and date any of your African women over there. So. No, the women quit easily. No, not everybody quitting. The women are quitting, Trigger Mike. The women. No, the women. The women who divorce most of the time. And this is why I say that the game is, it can't be just always about the man all the time. Only about the man. Because now you're in a relationship and you have obligation. The game might start with you first and it might be about you first. But now you have to think of how your actions is going to affect everybody else under you. Right? So. That's push towards women, Trigger Mike. And this is why Black Americans don't like outsiders speaking about their relationship, because you're saying it on people when that's mainly with Black women. This is why a lot of Black Americans don't like foreign people talking on their damn culture, on their relationship, because now you're when you say boat or you say people, how women are going to take that is you're taking accountability off of them, or you're not talking about them. See, Black men, we understand that you're being balanced, and you're talking about both people. Black women don't. So. Hmm. Mhm. I would have left that bit. I don't. Yeah, that's. Hmm. I gotta look into what that study's about. Yeah. You know what? That's a actual good thing. Because you don't talk about what a woman is doing for you in that relationship. It's like you're saying that she didn't have to do anything to get into that relationship with you. You're just saying that I'm him and I'm him, and the reason why she did him. No, but again, you picked her, right? She chose you. She chose to be in that relationship with you. You picked her. Why did you pick her, and why did you put her in that position? You know what I'm saying? And I have to agree with that, right there. You know what I'm saying? What did she do to earn that from you? You know, and I think if we get into more discussions like that, right? Maybe other women who's watching that is say, okay, cool. How she got into a relationship with him or a guy like him over there is that she was doing A, B, C, and D. You know what I'm saying? And I think if more men speak like that, well, I'm him, and the reason how she got into this relationship with me to him is because she did A, B, C, and D. And I think if men speak like that, because like angry men say, men mold and shape the environment. That's the way that a man can shape the environment, right? Saying what that woman did has done to get in a relationship with him. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I see. I don't think that's for the average woman, Fatty. I think the average woman does know better. It's that they use plausible deniability and pretend like they don't know better. I think the average woman knows better, right? They just pretend like they don't know any better. I'm not going to give women that excuse. What? That's crazy. They're going to blame the man. That is a good point. A lot of niggas in these spaces in their hubris, on the surface level, love to talk about how you know if you operate like this way, if you operate in a way where you have principles and you have standards, and you don't take disrespect, and you leave that chick, or if she disrespects you, you leave, or you stop dealing with that chick, or whatever. Do women complain about that guy and say he's too controlling? If, as my man Ali said, if you are too accommodating, or you compromise, or she goes into a relationship with a simp that is accommodating to her, she's going to complain that he's a pushover, right? In Black culture, Black women say Black men don't have no standards and blah blah blah. Now that Black men step their game up and they're having standards, they're complaining about why they're not getting picked by the dude, right? A lot of guys in this space will say, well, when you talk about dealing with women that are problems, they'll say, well, I don't have problems with women in my life. I don't deal with women that got problems. Let me tell you something. If every type of man, whether it be a simp, an alpha, a beta, a sigma, or she in a relationship with a guy that does have standards and boundaries, or she's in a relationship with a guy that doesn't have standards and boundaries, she's always going to complain. And there's always going to be a problem, whether it be 50-50 or 100%. Women are always going to complain about something. You know what I'm saying? That's why I cannot believe that it's always a man's fault. You cannot base a man based upon how a woman feels 24/7, how she responds to you 24/7. And a lot of the problems that women have is based upon themselves and their fucked up emotions and feelings, right? So that's a good observation by Ali. No matter what guy these women get with, they're gonna have a complaint, or they're gonna complain about it. Like it's unavoidable. See what I'm saying? So it's either now you're gonna say it's all the man's fault, and if it's always the man's fault, that means that the man is in 100% control of that woman, 100%. And men don't have control over that woman 100%. That means she has no free will in her choices. That means that if it's always my fault, that means that every time I choose a chick, she loses all free will and control over herself. That's what that means. You see what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of these when guys want to say it's always a man's fault and blah blah blah, like come on. That means that you're in full control over this woman and her actions. But you don't. You don't own a woman, she don't own you. She's a fully autonomous human being. So, you know what I'm saying? That's my only issue with the whole, it's always a man's fault and blah, 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 blah. Damn. Here's the thing. what women do in these spaces is the men prior to us, the generation prior to us, like the men during the Victorian age, and we talk about American space, the men of the Victorian age, the men of the Greatest Generation, and the Silent Generation. A lot of laws and rules and how society is defined was set in place by them. And what the women have done is that they've taken advantage of those things. Say like no fault divorce. Say like you know how the divorce courts are set up today, how no fault divorce, and a lot of other things in society. And what the women will do is they'll say, well, it's your fault because you created the rules. You made the rules this way. The thing is that those men did not make those rules. Did not make those rules so that women can use them against those men. Don't use them against the same men or use them against good men. Those rules were created, stuff like welfare, child support. Those rules were created to be for the men that were, ran away from their responsibilities, or bad men, or men that didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. That's what those rules were created for, right? And in the olden times, if you did that to a king and the king set the rules of society, and now you took advantage of those rules to go against the king or go against a society, you couldn't blame the king. The king will punish you for taking advantage of those rules or those laws and using it against the king. Because the king is going to say, well, I didn't set these rules for you to take advantage of it and be disrespectful. I set these rules to prevent bad people or to curtail the negative people of society. You know what I'm saying? I didn't make these rules for you to take them and now use them against good people, or use them against good men, or use them against power, do them for wrong. And if you took those rules and used it against the men to do wrong, you get punished for that. But in today's society, instead of the women being punished or there are consequences for them doing that, they're being rewarded for doing it. And it's accepted as it's the man's fault because we made the rules. But we didn't make the rules for them to be used against men who are doing what they were supposed to be doing, or good men. We made those rules to prevent the bad men from breaking those rules, or bad people from making those rules. So what society needs to do is stop allowing women to take advantage of systems and then allow the women to take these rules and use them against good men. And then say it's the men's fault. No, they need to be punished for taking the rules or the laws that men set in place that were supposed to be used against bad people and now used against good people. The women need to be punished, or there needs to be some kind of consequence for that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of them sitting back saying, no, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm taking advantage of what the men created. No. Good men created those rules to hold bad men accountable. Good men did not create those rules for you to use those rules against good men. You know what I'm saying? So That's a good point. Let's talk about that one. That's a good point that Ali brought up. Is that in a more savage time, the women went to work to help their men out, right? Or either help to maintain what the men already established. And in the silent generation and the greatest generation, if grandma went to work, it was to help that man. It wasn't to like how the women are doing today, where it was used against the men, or used against, well, I'm working, so I don't have to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, if a woman gets to work, it's seen as to weaponize against that man. Or if he says no to something, she can just get a job and subvert or sidestep that man, or usurp what that man's instruction. That's a good observation about it. Because that was originally what the feminism was. It was, well, we can work, so we don't have to rely on no man. You know what I'm saying? While being in a relationship. And I think what the men were doing at the time, they was like, okay, it's kind of like how when your child says, I'm going to run away, you kind of just let them do it to see how it's going to turn out. But I think what the men didn't calculate is that the women were going to stand on their business. We're going to double down, triple down on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There it is, Mike. Trigger. That's not what they're asking. They're trying to figure out if you went flat broke, nigga. You think you don't really know. Just celebrating your downfall, nigga. That's a good point. That's a good point. And I think I touched on it earlier. I said that we tell men to self-improve for everybody else. And with the word self-improve, listen to that word, self-improve for everybody else, and not self-improve for himself. And figure out himself first. As I say, the game is about the man first, right? About you, the man in the mirror first. So society doesn't tell men to self-improve for himself and for his own aspirations and for his own ambition. They tell men to self-improve for a woman. You know what I'm saying? Or for everybody else. Right? So when you're doing that, and now the man, he's self-improving himself and he's being more successful, but he's not getting those results that you said that he would get. Then you can't get mad. Then now when the man gets mad, angry about that, and you tell him to keep self-improving, it's like it's like putting a man on a carrot on a stick. Instead of you saying, turn it to himself and find enjoyment in himself for self-improving, he's not going to get mad, because he's going to say, okay, cool, I'm improving myself and this is going to benefit me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of the improvement I look on when I look into the mirror. But no, it's self-improvement based upon everybody else first. And that's not good. Like, that's why the men are still complaining and saying, well, I've been self-improvement, I've been doing all this, but the things that society is telling me I would get, I'm not getting. The women are not getting better, or the women are still not choosing me, and you're still blaming me for why these women are not picking me, or why I can't get the proper female. You see what I'm saying? So, Fatty has a point. And I have no issue with self-improvement. And me, I've had to learn to turn that stuff inward. I have, like, if I plan on losing 50 pounds, 50 pounds. I make that about myself. I say to myself, well, and I said to myself that I don't want to be unhealthy in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? I want to be healthy in my 30s, or get healthy in my 30s, so that when I'm in my 40s, I don't have a lot of health issues. You know what I'm saying? So now when I'm working out and I'm progressing now, I make that completely about me and nothing outside of myself. Now, if by bonus, I find a girl that likes my appearance or likes the way I look and my ground and my ethic, fine. But as I say, the game is about the man first before anybody else, right? I made me losing weight about me. So whether a chick is there for what I look like or not, because I made it about myself and I made those achievements about myself, I'm always going to be happy with the results I get because I made it about me. Right. So while the man has to self-improve and upgrade their game, she gets to run through the whole phase and destroy herself, and now I have to mold her up to my level. Bullshit. That's not the reflection of a man. That's the reflection of somebody else's influence. That's like when Eve ate the apple, Adam and Eve bit the apple, and when God touched the garden, he instantly knew something was wrong because they were moving different. Well, that's how the men are. If I'm self-improving and upgrading myself, and I look back into the environment and I see that the woman is not the reflection of my self-improvement and she hasn't been following me, she's been following something else, then that means that I walked into the garden of the environment and it's something different. You then cannot blame me for that if I'm self-improving and I'm getting better results. And the results she getting is crap. And then you're telling me I got to go down and step down to her and pick up shit and turn it into a diamond. You know what I'm saying? Last time I checked, that diamond under pressure is there by itself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go use the bathroom, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna skip to the part where Israel Mills and Fatty were arguing. That's funny. Hold on, let me go use the bathroom and come up. I'm thinking, y'all. I'm back. Shout out to Anger Man. That's a good analogy. But Cali Bev, she's in a relationship, so I fuck with Cali Bev, even though she says some goofy ass shit and she right. But that is not what most relationship is today. When from what I'm hearing, when there's a lack of sex going on in that relationship on the woman's part, is he gotta take her out on 50 more dates? Is he gotta make more money? It's a whole bunch of extra shit. And when the men tell you what you gotta do, it's always something vague and in general. It's nothing specific, right? And I don't tell the woman what she gotta might have to do to encourage that man to do that, do some more things. Now, what Kelly Bev is all about is going to the park, which is cool. That's cost effective. That's economically effective or economically sound. But in most relationships I hear today, the man got to do a bunch of expensive shit. And usually it's the woman using sex to manipulate that man to do much more than what he needs to be doing. Or more than what he already is doing. Or she uses using sex, or she's already cheating on him and shit. So, Kelly Beth, what she's saying is something completely different from what most society is saying when it comes to relationship and the women withdrawing sex from the equation. Hold on, give me a second. Be right back. No. That's a good point. Spicing up means the nigga got to simp and do extra shit. The nigga could be doggy style, missionary on top of the sofa, ceiling fan, and she still tell them nigga, spice it up. A lot of times, the woman is just insatiable. Like her sexual appetite is big. So instead of us satisfying or being satisfied, she wants you to do more than the extra shit you're already doing. You know what I'm saying? Which I have no problem doing so long as you're going to do extra shit for me. Theirs was that hole in the back of the day. Theirs was at a couple fricklets. Alicia's fine. I like her afro. I think that's where the beef between Israel Mills and Fatty. I want to go into that. Let me see before if they had that discussion. Okay, so I don't think they went to. But Alicia Kathleen, a lot of that's the reason why women say they leave relationships. So that could be true. But then the question is, why did those men and those married? Because the reason why women say they divorced that man is because in that monogamous relationship, the man stepped out and cheated. The question is why, right? And a lot of time the men are saying, well, it's a sexist relationship. And if he can't, and you can't force a woman even in a relationship to have sex with you. Right? That's her body, her choice. So maybe the reason why the men are cheating on those women is not because they can't control their desires or their urges. It's because they can't. It's because their woman is not giving them sex. They're withholding sex on purpose for whatever reason, whatever manipulation reason. Right? But it's not just that those married men are getting consistent sex from their wife and then they still cheat or step out. Is that they stop getting consistent sex from their wife. Right? Why they have to go find ways outside of their marriage to go reach their urges. Right? They're not getting consistent sex from their wives, so they go cheat. Why they're not getting consistent sex from their wives? Because their wives stopped giving them bots. That's why. So there's a reason for everything. Right? And if the man was the head of the house or leader of the house, he could be able to kick that chick out the relationship with no problem and find the next chick. Right? But let's continue. Hold on. Bro, I was reviewing the show. I think I was reviewing the show and I wasn't, and I had my mic on mute. Yo, I said a bunch of good shit that ain't nobody heard me. I said a bunch of good shit that ain't nobody heard me. Wow. Give me a second. I have myself unmuted the whole time on my mic. Give me a second. Oh, if that happened. I have myself on mute. I might have to do the show over. All right, I am back. Sorry about that. I don't know why from my phone.
Capitalism without the extreme racism that took place during the 80s, during the 90s, during the 60s, during Jim Crow, during sharecropping, it's like the relationships.
Hold on. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't know why my screen is not showing I see it in the YouTube chat, in the YouTube tab. It's there.
Aren't monogamous. Most aren't. So I can see why men have the trouble, especially men.
Okay. So do you leave your man?
Alicia saying, give me a second. Okay.
Hypothetically, if he cheats?
Not necessarily. I believe everyone's situation is different.
Yours?
No. In general, no. It depends on the situation, but in general, no.
But in general, no. Okay. So what do you think? What do you add? If you got a bunch of women around you, what are you telling them in terms of when they get to the man they want? Are you telling them, listen, cheating isn't a deal breaker? Are you telling them that generally speaking, he's fighting natural urges every single day? If he's an attractive man, a 20% man, like what's your coaching to women if you had to tell them, like, listen, this is how it actually is going to work?
That needs to be a discussion early on, and both parties need to have the maturity to be honest with each other. Because if not, it's just setting each other up for failure. But it definitely needs to be a conversation.
Do you think it's okay if that level of promiscuity is one-sided, meaning the man may have trouble with monogamy, but the women shouldn't?
Good question.
Oh, let me move on what she was saying.
Actually, done 100%.
Oh, scientifically, most.
Hold on. Let me drop my brother Ali down, please. All right, go ahead, Alicia.
It's tough. It's tough. I can understand.
My brother Ali.
I can see how it could be a challenge for a lot of people to admit that.
Because I had said something important, and I thought that
polygamous.
One woman enough, easy.
For me,
rest of your life.
Yes, at this point, yes.
So, all right, to answer quickly, it's hard as a motherfucker.
I'm going to be quiet about this. Don't even aim. I know you've been drinking. Just be quiet. I'm going to be quiet about it.
Alicia, what's popping?
Hi.
I think this is the part
What you
where
think,
Fatty
mommy?
and
you've been listening to the conversation.
So now he changed his name to Trigger Fatty.
Yes,
I think this is the
yes,
part
I've been
where
in and out. You know.
Fatty and Izzy Bands got into it. That's a fact. I think I just said something to that. Mr. Fantastic. The men's retract. But black women, you don't take the positive things from other women. Why is the black woman not able to do that with other? The men, along with the women, or the men will use a manipulation tactic. That's what needs to be done. All right? Those are the things that need to be done in order for us to create a generational wealth, in order for us to get our
during the.
I'm going to end my stream here,
okay,
and then come back and do a part
Fatty,
parts in the
Fatty.
stream that
Fetty,
got
do you
messed up
believe
was
in
slowed down.
monogamy?
So I'm gonna end it here and then come back in a bit.
For the people that are dishonest and don't admit they have urges to fuck other people, yes. For
Ask
me,
him
no.
again. Alicia, ask him again.
Yes. For me, no. But for you liars that pretend that one people